was thinking this morning about, and during this week, about what do we do as a church together already? You know, we talk about mission, and when we think about, Nelson was here last week, and he was talking about the phrase that they have in his church at home is maximise the opportunities and minimise the excuses. Maximise the opportunities, minimise the excuses, about talking to people about Jesus. And we've been talking a lot about that this year. And what is it that we do? And we know that Jesus' commission to us was to love God and to love other people as we love ourselves. So that means we love God, love other people, and love ourselves. And it's learning to do all three of those things. And he also commanded us to go out into the world and make disciples, okay? So those are the things that he told us to do. And in that, there's a whole range of other things that we are able to do. And so when I think about mission, really, and making disciples, it comes really, in our modern way of thinking, under these three banners. So where we think about social action, discipling, and evangelism. So I was wondering if you would join with me and just think about what sort of things do we do which are social action? That means things that we do for the community or for people perhaps who are disadvantaged in any way. So what sort of things do we do already? All right, okay, mums and tots, yeah. Shopping for neighbours. And I would say under the shopping for neighbours, the people I know also take others to the doctor, hospital visits, you know, all those sorts of things, take them flowers. There's all those things that go on under that banner. And there's so much one-to-one stuff that goes on. And it's just so glorious because it's really low-key. Unless you actually get into conversation with someone, you don't know these things are happening, but I know that they're going on. Okay, so there's those things. Food bank, yep. That's brilliant. And I was thinking, actually, that it would be good if we could set ourselves a target for food bank and say that we're going to deliver. How many items do you think we should make sure that between us we give to food bank in a month? 50? 50? Okay. So let's set ourselves this target that we'll take at least 50 items to the food bank every month. I think between us that would be an amazing thing to do, and it would feed a family. Yeah. Right, okay. That's amazing. That's, yeah, it's food bank. Because they add to it. Okay, so let us know. You know, if you've given elsewhere for any reason, if you just pop your number in there, and then we'll know that we've given, you know, our 50. Okay, so I think it's good to have for us to have a target. Okay, food bank. What else do we do? Coffee morning. That's it. Yeah, coffee morning. Coffee morning is an amazing thing because it reaches so many people who. They look forward to this oasis in the week where they can have a giggle with their friends. And it's, you know, for people particularly who perhaps they don't see other people that much, you know, it's a really good thing. What else do we do? Yeah, so... yeah. Okay, so if we think about our giving, we've got Bethany Homestead. And Casarina House. Yeah, our BMS giving. Youth group. Okay, anything else that anybody else is involved with? Oh, the homeless shelter. Oh dear, can't spell. Homeless shelter meal. Anything else?
It would be nice to do some boxes to take for the old people at the Present, you know, from our church.
Okay.
There are people around there
Yeah.
who don't, you know.
Have you got any sort of number for that, Mary?
Well, I can find out the numbers, but I just thought it would be nice to make a little box up and put different things in and take it to them. And say,
As a little gift.
there's nothing in your village for the older people.
I think that would be brilliant. Okay. So I'm going to write that in a different colour because that's an aim. Okay. So we're all right. I'm going to put seniors. I'm sorry about the apostrophe because it shouldn't be senior ministry to seniors. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's a goal. Yes. Definitely. Yeah. It's too big for old people. Yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. No. Turkey, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, we can give that some thought. Yeah, yeah. But so that's our social action. And I actually think that as a small church, that is outstanding, don't you? Yes. I would think it's absolutely stunning that we do all that. Okay, so what about discipling? What do we do when we think about discipling people, bringing people to know Jesus even more than they do already? What do we do for that?
Soul survivor.
Oh, soul survivor, okay. We haven't run an alpha for about 2 years. So I think I'm gonna have to put that on a shelf over there for the moment. Think about what do we do now? So, home group, thank you. Yeah. Home groups. Okay. What about Sundays? Isn't that all about discipling? We sharpen each other up. We encourage one another to grow. It's a purpose of Sundays, isn't it? Sundays are huge in that.
Prayer meeting, prayer partners, one-to-one conversations.
Yeah, we've got one-to-one prayer partners.
Breakfast, men's breakfast some mornings, every other week.
Yeah, breakfasts, okay. Brilliant. So prayer partners, prayer triplets, yeah. Yeah. What about? Okay, this is what are we involved in? If I'm going to mention the well here, okay, because the well's involved in discipling people. Yes, that was. I heard about that. It was traumatic. Yes, yeah. Okay, so and we'd think about our children's ministry as well. We have a ministry to our children here, and also that includes other people's children. If we think about how Ray faithfully brings other people's children. So what about our evangelism then? Actually speaking to people about Jesus. Okay, so got HOT, healing on the streets, that is. Think if anybody's wondering what that is, yeah. School pastors.
Every public meeting that you have here where people come, might be a remembrance Sunday.
Sunday and other service. One-to-one, that's it. We've got the NN mission. Family members, so that can. I'll put e.g. family members. Right, okay, so we do a huge amount. You know, I'm absolutely aware that we already do a huge amount. You know when I say already that there's something coming, don't you? Yeah, yes, you do. Right, okay. Yes, sorry, yep. So ministers standing together. So it's ministers going out in the town and everything blank canvas. Okay. So we do a huge amount. Okay. Have I missed anything that anybody's doing that you'd like me to write down there? No. Okay. All right. So what I'm frustrated about is not seeing people actually coming to faith. That's my frustration. And I don't know whether you're frustrated by that, but it's driving me batty. And it's not for want of trying. So I think maybe we need to try something new. And I wondered whether you would help me, actually. So Jesus said in John 4, he says, I tell you, open your eyes and look at the fields, they are ripe for harvest. So I'm opening my eyes and I'm looking at the fields and thinking, okay, so you're ready to be harvested, but how? You know, it's that how question. How are we going to get people to know about Jesus? Could you just pop up that first slide for me? Okay, so I got these from the Evangelical Alliance. Has some amazing information. I'm sorry if it's too small that you can't see it. But basically, what it's showing us, that over the last, between 2008 and 2013, rather than the church nationwide going into decline, it's actually growing. So we're talking about the whole of church growth is growing. So, yes, the Anglican Church, the Baptist Church, and the Roman Catholic Church don't put their figures out as declining, closing, but Roman Catholic churches are declining sharply in numbers as well. So in number terms, some of the more traditional denominations, you know, if you look at the Methodist Church, it's really upsetting. They must be so sad. But Methodism has gone from, you know, they've closed 813 churches in that period, but a lot of them were in villages. And what's taking their place then are the new churches. So new church growth has gone up by 252. Pentecostal churches have gone up by 638, and smaller denominations have increased by 1,899, which is astounding. So what this tells me is there has to be a new way of doing things. You know, there has to be, the way that we're doing things as oldies is not the way that churches are growing. Churches need to grow in a new way. And when we look at younger generations, the generations that are missing from church, the sort of 20s and 30s, they do life in a very different way than our way of thinking. So our way of thinking is very much along the lines of you go somewhere to meet, and you meet other people, and that's good. And we think more in terms of organised parties and things like that. So our generation would and above would think in terms of joining a political party, joining a trade union movement. We've always joined things. The younger generations don't do that. They network. They network their friends in a way that we don't. And they have that, you know, if you look at organised social clubs, their membership has declined. And it's all to do with the way that we do life is not the way the younger generations do life. They do their life very relationally and network based. Okay. So I've been praying about this and thinking about this, and what I would like to do is step out. Now, I'm not asking other people to do this necessarily. You might decide that, you might pray about it and feel that God is saying yes to you. But I want to step out and read the Bible with people who've never read the Bible before. Okay, so if I give you this, I'm not reading the whole Bible with them because that would take a long time. But for 6 weeks, to read Luke Acts. Okay, so I'm just going to give you these. Okay, so when you look at this, what's the first thing you notice? Oh, you've got the page names in Luke, yeah. What else do you notice about the way it's set out? It's like a normal book, okay. So we've done away with all the normal headings, chapter numbers, the verse numbers, all that nonsense. Okay, oh, sorry, Lord. It's really useful data. And it means that it's a book that you read like you'd read any other book, which is the way it was written. When you think Luke wrote a letter, he didn't stop and think, I'll put a heading in here and I'll put a number in here. And he was writing a document to help his friend understand why the church should be, why Jesus is the person who he says he is. He's looked at the document, all the evidence, and he's gathered it all together, and he writes this document to assure his friend that this is true. And he writes Luke's letter to Theophilus, and then he also writes Acts as well. And the point of this is that it's much easier then to get to grips with, because it's like any other book that you would read. So what I want to do is I want to read this with some people that I don't yet know. I'm also going to ask my toddler group if they will help me read this as well. And I'm going to ask them 3 questions. And as we go through week by week, so read it over 6 weeks, and there's a little reading plan at the back, so it tells you how many days to read every week, how many pages to read every week. So I'm going to ask them these 3 questions. What surprised you? What disturbed you? Is there anything you do differently because of what you've read? Okay? What surprised you? What disturbed you? Is there anything you do differently because of what you've read this week? Now, what I would like to do is I'd like to experiment with a group of you first. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind being guinea pigs, I'd be really grateful. And I would like to, either probably an afternoon on Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those afternoons, get together and just go through and do the reading together. So that I have a bit of an idea of how the group would run. Because I don't know whether people are going to, I don't know how long to make it, whether it to be an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours. I know that could be dependent on the size of the group, but I just want to have an idea of the sort of things that people are going to come up with. I know every group's different, but it would be really helpful if you would be willing to do this with me. So it would be an afternoon, Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, and to read the Bible together.
Sorry, what was the second thing? What surprised you?
What disturbed you? And is there anything you would do differently because of what you've read?
So this guinea pig group is
Yeah.
religious.
Yes.
Just to save the trouble of guinea pigs being found, we could do that home group on Wednesday.
Yes, we could do that at home group on Wednesday as well. I'm quite happy to do either and both. Okay. So the idea then of the group is just to get an idea of the sort of things that people would say. Thanks for that, Tony. just get an idea of how it would run. I don't know how this is going to go. All I know is that people come to faith because they read the Bible. And I would like to see if we can, if I can do this with some other people, and if anybody else would like to roll this out. If you have got some friends who are unbelievers at the moment, but you think might be interested, please do ask them. I'd be happy to have a mixed group, and that might make life quite interesting. So if you've got a couple of friends that you think, well, I'll ask them, see if they'd like to come along and give me an hour of time. So I was thinking, because, schools, we need to be away for school at 3:00, probably meeting at 1:30 until 3:00, that sort of time. So 1:30 till 3. I'm going to invite my toddler group as well, see if any of the mums would come for that. That obviously is going to be a bit disruptive if you've got small children, but anyway, I'm going to ask them nonetheless. So it would be here in the carey room. Yes. Yeah. So I'd appreciate your prayers for this, and then the task comes of going out and finding those people who don't yet know Jesus. If we could have the second slide, thank you. Okay, so this slide then, this is the East Midlands. We live in the East Midlands. This was the 2011 census, which I know is 6 years old, and things change in 6 years. But this is what it says, is that 58.8% say they're Christian. Well, 58.8% might say they're Christian, but I don't see them. I don't see them. And, it's like when they go into hospital and you're asked, what's your religion? And people say Church of England because they don't know what else to say. It's an insurance policy, but it's not a living faith. And that's not being critical, that's just being honest. And also, I'm criticising anyone, it's us as church, because we haven't told people about Jesus. Hindus 2%, Muslim 3%, Sikh 1%, other 0.8%. That was probably all the Jedis. Do you remember? Yeah. And 27.5% who say they have no religion at all. I would think that especially in London, the Christian and no religion have probably swapped over. So I would think that now, even though it's only 6 years later, I would think probably 27%, and especially sort of going through the internet on various things, that 27% would now say they're Christian and 58% would say that they have no religion. Well, it's only because they don't know. I didn't know about Jesus until somebody told me, and they had to be really in my face about it, and I'm very grateful. I am very grateful. And I think sometimes we're too frightened of speaking the truth and we pussyfoot around it a bit. I wonder whether even with this, what I'm going to be doing with people, whether I'm pussyfooting around it a bit, because there are some people, when they do this Bible study, they add in 2 other questions, which are, what does this say about God, and what does this say about man? Or humankind. I have to be careful that I say that with younger people, because if I say man, they only think about men, they don't think about women as well. Whereas again, our generation, it's all generational stuff. Our generation include women when you say man. We would automatically include us as women, but younger generations don't do that. They feel very excluded. So we need to be careful about that. So I'd appreciate your prayers and your response, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Yeah.